and all new Georgia's Hidden Treasures. An Action News Primetime with John Pruitt.
Good evening. You might think we're in the North Georgia mountains. Actually, we're a long way from the mountains. We're in West Georgia. Obviously a scene of natural beauty, but also extremely rich in history. In fact, Atlantans used to ride out here in horse and buggy to witness cutting-edge technology. Now they come for the peace, quiet, and tranquility, and to hear a little-known story about this creek's important role in Georgia history.
You're launched like a rocket. In flight, 100 feet above a gorge. Some landings are smooth. Others, like sliding into home plate.
Good job.
These Chick-fil-A managers conquer one of the world's longest and highest canopy tours without ever leaving Georgia.
That was kind of a three-point landing for you.
Three-point landing right on the bottom there.
Yeah. How was it?
It was good.
Yeah?
It was good.
Kind of
fast. Kind of exciting.
Groups crisscross a pristine creek and forest by zip line and swinging cable bridge.
On this zip line course, you move from treetop to treetop on these rather shaky bridges suspended high above the forest floor on these cables. But it's actually perfectly safe because you're secured in with two cables, so even if you slip, you're not going to fall.
The first step of this eco-adventure involves climbing a 60-foot tower.
All right. How's everybody feeling at the top now?
Good.
Everybody feeling good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Scared?
Don't be scared.
It's normal to be a little scared.
They then hurl themselves off a perch in a cannonball position to increase their speed. And speed they get, up to 55 miles per hour.
Okay, you step up. Just focus on me, okay?
Mallory Wilson watched her friends and family leap into thin air, but she wasn't so sure.
I'm just really scared. I don't think I can do it.
Okay, it's okay to be scared. That's normal. Pick up your feet.
But Mallory zip-lined like a pro.
The very first part, it goes really, really fast. I was thinking, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? But then after a couple seconds, I was thinking, this is so much fun.
I think all the rooms are checked for this next group.
Mike Holder is used to that reaction. As a former airline pilot, he spotted canopy tours on his trips to South America. So he designed a similar course for Georgians, a unique way to enjoy nature from a bird's eye view.
They may start low to the ground like 15 feet, but they may end up being 100 feet off the ground. And they're up in an area that's out of their domain. And you may see a hawk fly by, a woodpecker sitting there looking at you like, what are you doing up here?
The Holders never dreamed they'd operate this kind of resort. 10 years ago, Mike and Donna spotted an ad for creekfront property near Whitesburg, a town in Carroll County so small, there's not even a stoplight.
We started walking around on the property, and it was just beautiful as you got down into the creek area and the gorge area. And so my husband Mike said, well, we're going to buy this. And I said, well, I think you're insane.
The Holders had just built their dream house in Marietta. So moving their 4 children into a dilapidated home on nearly 80 acres didn't sit too well.
So what made you go along with your husband on this?
Mike's a visionary, and really at this point I was just trusting him.
First thing came to my mind, it needed to be preserved. And I'd seen development plans, and I said, that doesn't need to happen here. We need to figure out some way to preserve this place because it's so unique.
Snake Creek twists through a little-known gorge, a tributary of the Chattahoochee River.
Gorge is kind of a geological freak of nature over here in West Georgia. Most people aren't thinking about a gorge here. But even in the 1880s, the Atlanta papers called it the Little Gorge of West Georgia.
While the forest is filled with mountain laurel, the Holders bought it covered with kudzu. They spent 3 years uncovering what was beneath. They found ruins of stacked stone dams and foundations of buildings.
As we began to talk to other people in the vicinity, they began to pull out pictures from under their bed, and they would talk to us about what their grandfathers and their great-grandfathers had done here. And so we began to piece the history together.
And what was the impact of that on you?
Well, I was pretty much awestruck. It was kind of like finding a little treasure that everyone had forgotten.
The Holders stumbled upon an industrial ghost town, a place in the 1840s first called Bowenville, later known as Banning Mills. The family hired Doug Mabry to find out the area's history. From newspapers and deeds, he pieced together a remarkable past.
There were up to a dozen different types of mills on the gorge here within a 2-mile range. So the industrial historians kind of consider it one of the first industrial parks.
From the mid to late 1800s, mill owners built a complex system of dams and raceways to harness the creek's power. One of the biggest users of that power was a paper mill owned by U.B. Wilkinson, which experimented with using pine trees instead of rags to make pulp, an innovative process that later revolutionized papermaking in America and made the paper mill the biggest in the South.
Was there ever a, what I would call a eureka moment when you're delving through all this history, a discovery, a fact?
I think I was most excited when I found out they produced for the Atlanta Constitution. I said, that makes them one of the big boys, you know. So it wasn't just a little Carroll County mill producing, you know, 1 roll of paper a month for the local paper, that they were shipping stuff all over.
The mill owners of Snake Creek became the movers and shakers of Atlanta society. Atlantans came to the gorge as a Victorian retreat. They traveled by horse and buggy to also watch a new spectacle. The cotton and paper mills here were among the first Georgia factories to use electricity.
It took you to Banning, and it took all day to get here to watch the lights come on. I guess it was like the laser light show at Stone Mountain. They'd never seen that before. And some of the mills were 4 and 5 stories tall, 300 feet long, and they all lit up at one time. And that was a miracle to some people. And it happened here first.
And the lights were used so they could go 24 hours a day?
24 hours a day, work longer, at least until after midnight.
Bobby Argo knows about shifts inside that same textile mill. For the last 40 years, he's worked as a barber, but he began his career at the mill at the age of 16.
What do you remember most about your experience